make sure it's not just me.
I'm not hearing him as well either.
Okay.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Perfect.
Go ahead and ask me that question again.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. So we know you're an agent at heart, and we know that, many people say EXP Realty is built for this. And so why is that? And what are you hearing during your frequent calls right now?
Oh, it's real simple. I've been here 5 years, and I think all the people that have helped grow this company, and I look out there and I saw a lot of names today and I walked by them. As we grew this company, we've always said that we knew this was a special model. That's why Michael joined, right? I love hearing him right before this. He says, my gosh, this is the disruptor. Well, why did we all feel that? Why do we all feel this? Because we knew at one point in time, Stacy, there was going to be a down market, right? There was going to be a down market. And when that down market came, bricks and mortar were going to be tough to pay for because we've been there before. Everybody has been there 2006, 7, and 8. So we're built for this because we have the model that's going to make it through this. And companies were going to have struggles, and now they're going to look at us. And that's what I'm seeing right now with my talks. 2 million brokers are calling me right now that we talked to 2 years ago.
I love that. And, you're right about the fact that, so many of us went through this in 08 and 09 and 10. And, during those times, I think we all got a little scrappier and we figured it out and we shifted faster this time. And so I think we're just really ready to go.
Most definitely. And I'll tell you what, I talked to agents. I had 10 Zooms the other day with brokers, real estate brokers, independent brokers, brokers from franchises. I've got one after the convention today with a franchise broker that's struggling. So everybody's hurting right now, and I feel for them. I want you guys, if you call your old broker buddies, put your arms around them. They need our help. They really are struggling, but we're a safe haven for them, and we were built for this.
I love it. I love it. And Dan, how are you doing on sound?
Hopefully working now.
Oh, you're working perfect.
Excellent. Excellent.
I remember when you first got on the board and you were gracious enough to probably spend I think it was well over an hour on the phone with me, letting you pick your brain. And I loved that. And so from a business standpoint, how are you thinking about things these days beyond just our businesses? Do you think that this will have a lasting impact on society? Are you optimistic, pessimistic, or both?
So absolutely think this will have a lasting impact on both business and just the way we live our lives. In terms of the impact on business, I've seen a couple of major trends. One is that obviously, as we've been talking about today, the experience that everybody had working from home is really opening a lot of companies' eyes to the possibilities there. I think a lot of companies were afraid to give their employees, a real taste of working from home because of the fact that they knew people would love it and it might be hard to bring them back into the office. And now that everybody has gotten to experience it, I do think we're going to see a strong demand from employees for more flexible work. And you even see companies like Nationwide recently announced that 4 or 5 of their offices, they're not planning to reopen, and hearing a lot more CEOs saying things like that. In terms of businesses that are prospering, I think there's a couple of different types that I've noticed. One is, big companies that have the financial resources and the human capital in order to kind of navigate through this crisis. In some ways, I would say, unfortunately, look like the big are going to get bigger. If you look at what might happen in terms of, restaurants or fast food, a lot of people are predicting that the big chains are going to come out of this with even more market share. So I think that's one potentiality on the big end. But then you're also seeing a lot of folks that are nimble, that have built flexibility in and can react quickly. And folks like many of you here who have chosen not to take on unnecessary costs like physical office space, now are able to look at this really as an opportunity to move ahead rather than a really dire situation. Obviously, it's a challenging situation for everybody. So, those are a few trends in terms of types of businesses. And then just in terms of our lives, just one little funny anecdote, but I was speaking yesterday with an epidemiologist who mentioned that one really positive thing to come out of all of this is that, the folks who in the past maybe were feeling a little under the weather, but would still show up at work or would still go to social gatherings and so show that they were a real soldier for doing it. Well, it's probably not going to be cool anymore to show up with, a cough or a runny nose. like in the past. And so, not to mention, we're all going to be more conscious of hand washing, I think, permanently. And so we might actually see much lower incidence of the flu and other illnesses, even once we're well beyond COVID. So one little bright glimmer there, I suppose.
I really like that. I had not heard that, but that makes absolute sense. And you're right, because, I think it's hard for us not to fall in that trap of you just need to power through and get up and go to work. But at the same time, when you're the healthy one at the office, you're not happy that they're there spreading their germs around. So I think that's a great observation. Thank you. And then last, but absolutely not ever least, Mr. Randall. So we got the pleasure, you did a presentation for the staff a couple of weeks ago. And while you were talking, it was actually hard for me to listen to you because I was getting messages from so many staffers telling me how wonderful the information was. And I know since then things are changing all the time. And I know you have experience in all of this from an economic and a government perspective. So we'd just love to hear your thoughts.
Sure, Stacy. Thanks. And like the other guys, I mean, I share many of those thoughts and agree relative to the impact from an industry point of view, relative to the impact from a macroeconomic point of view, and business in general. But maybe to share a couple of things, and I think probably the most often used word I've heard of late, whether it's from the personalities on television talking about it, the various news channels, or people describing it in interviews or in newspapers, whatever it might be, people talk about this as an unprecedented time. The truth of it is, I don't think this is unprecedented in the context of we've experienced a pandemic like this in 1918, and there's a blueprint for how to exit some of that. We've experienced dire economic circumstance any number of times over the recent economic history of the U.S. Let's go back to the Depression. It was severe. We've got 2008, we've got 2001, we've got the mid-90s, we've got crises in the 60s, all to varying degrees, of course, and we've got a much steeper decline this particular time around. But frankly, as a people, as a society, as individuals, as business people, we've got so much to draw upon relative to what this country, what this world has experienced before us. So we shouldn't think of this as unprecedented and not know what to do about it. But look back on the lessons learned from a variety of circumstances that present analogies to the current time. As Gene indicated earlier about being built for this. This is our time. He's fielding, and many of the people in the audience are fielding a number of calls from prospects. We have long evangelized that this is a business model that ought to be every bit, if not more attractive in challenging markets. And we've certainly been expecting that we're going to experience a challenging market. All of the fixed infrastructure that many of our competitors are burdened with. We have far more flexibility in terms of how to forecast this. No one, of course. But the truth of it is, without all of the fixed infrastructure that many of our competitors are burdened with, we have far more flexibility in terms of how we react to this crisis. The tools that we provide our agents, the kinds of things that we can do to help our people succeed in this market, such that I think will continue to attract, at the same pace as we have been historically, very qualified agents who will help this company grow, and now more so on an international basis. And the last thing I'll just work in very quickly, because I think I commented on this at the town hall meeting you mentioned, and that is, what's this all going to look like as we climb out? Dan made a couple of comments with respect to that. We've often heard that people are talking about the potential of a V-shaped recovery, or is it a U-shape, or is it a W, or whatever else it might be. I think, frankly, guys, it's a virtual physical impossibility for this country to experience a V-shaped recovery in the fashion that some are promoting it. There's just too much that has to be done. To use specific examples, restaurants operating at 25 to 50% capacity are restaurants that close even in the best of times. They don't make that much money. It's impossible to turn most businesses on simply by flipping a switch overnight. We experienced fairly significant supply chain disruption going into this crisis. I think the supply chain disruption we experienced coming out of the crisis is all the more severe. That having been said, that doesn't mean that we don't have great expansion. That doesn't mean that there aren't great opportunities for us. I happen to think it's probably a shallow U-shaped recovery. And hopefully with some of the experimentation that states are undertaking with respect to some of their openings isn't a false start, because if we've got a W, it's going to be pretty bad in terms of what it does for our economic cycle. I think great things are ahead of us. I think we are resilient people. We are a resilient country, and we are a resilient company. Even now, what we're experiencing in the context of real estate, we have expected to see declines in real estate production, as have our competitors. We've certainly seen that, but I would suggest that we're probably not seeing it at the levels that we might have expected. And we're starting to see region to region, state to state, market to market, some of those experiencing a fairly significant resurgence. So hopefully that'll be sustained. Hopefully we'll see a better Q2 than I think the world has generally predicted. But I don't think it's going to be till Q3, till Q4 that from a general economic standpoint that we start to cycle out of this.
I love that. Thank you. I love how thoughtful your answers always are. And I'm going to ask each one of you one super quick question before we get off stage. 3 of you are going to get the same question, but I hope Gene is game, because I have to ask him one different question than the rest of you, because I just pictured Gene Frederick in his house going crazy right now. So I got to ask you, how do you stay motivated at home right now?
Are you asking me this?
I am.
This is driving me crazy. I cannot stand not hugging every single one of these doggone avatars. And how am I keeping busy? Probably about 10 of those doggone Zooms a day. But I miss every single one of you, and I think this is driving me absolutely crazy, because I love all of you, and I can't wait to see you in November.
I love that. I love that. And then I'm going to ask the other 3 one quick question. From what you guys have heard today, what excites you most about this company? And Dan, we'll start with you.
You know, I think I'll perhaps take the most obvious one, but the fact that we are able to have such a great event here in the cloud, and that there are so many other companies that are, jumping in and using Virbela software, and then of course the enhancements and innovations that we've got going there with respect to Frame. So yeah, Virbela is really exciting.
I love it. And Randall?
I think the thing that always strikes me, and I've said this probably at every meeting that I've been asked a similar question, the thing that always strikes me is the degree of the energy, the cohesiveness, the collaboration that is represented by all of our agents as they come together, in particular at the twice a year large meetings that we have, that is not at all diminished, even in a virtual circumstance such as this. The level of engagement, the fact, as Dan alluded to, the fact that we can carry on a substantial annual shareholders meeting, converting it to a cloud meeting where it would otherwise been a physical meeting with great fanfare, is a remarkable achievement. And it is further remarkable in that we are now beginning to share this technology with the rest of the working world, giving Virbela an opportunity to help other companies learn to work remotely, as we've been successful doing.
I love it. And last, but absolutely not least, Mr. Darren.
Well, first of all, a couple things. One is I'm excited about for the agents that, agents that are around the real estate industry for maybe a decade or 2-3 decades. They're like, I wish I could join back 10, 20, 30 years ago in my brokerage that I used to be with when it got started. And I think right now with EXP, with all our international expansion and how we're location dependent, we're virtual, the opportunity for what we have for the agents right now is just incredible. And in my opinion, we're just getting started, like for what we're doing, what I've heard earlier today with the international expansion and things that are going on, and really the vibration of energy. If you feel in our world what's going on, the vibe of the agents, a lot of these agents say, man, the first 2 years, that's what I felt my traditional bricks and mortar brokerage, but I feel it here now, even though we're a 10-year-old company. I think also too is the modeling. For our agents that have families, that have children or grandchildren, the children are growing up in a new generation now where they're going to be virtual and distant learning with their education, school, and all that stuff. And we're on the forefront of that as with Rebella and EXP Realty. And I think it's really exciting that the kids say, man, my dad, my mom is in this company where they get to work home base. My dad can go to the beach and do his business as a realtor from the beach. My dad's cool. He's just like us. I think that's a really cool experience to see that how we are so further ahead than most of the other competitors out there in the industry. And we're a great example to the children of the next generation of what's possible, to really encourage them of what you can do to dream big in your life, because we're a global business going bigger and bigger all the time.
I love that, and it's so true. It definitely gives us more flexibility. I certainly wish I would have been at the EXP when I was raising my kids and they were younger and trying to maneuver all that. It would have absolutely made it easier. Well, I cannot thank you all enough for the time that you give. And for those who have not really spent time with the four of you, I hope everyone knows that the next time they see you at an event, that all four of you are always been so gracious with your time. You're always willing to sit and talk and just educate me and any agent that asks. And we very much appreciate you guys for being so interactive and so connected to our business. Thanks for your time today, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Thank you all.
Stacy, that was just a remarkable session. Great job. And the smarts we have on our board of directors is just like you said, so appreciated. I really think this has been a special day so far.
Absolutely. And Mitch, I have to laugh. As I was looking at the slide that's coming up next, I realized that, as always, you showed me grace and kindness when I jumped the gun and talked about the referral roundup like 50 million slides ago.
No,
now I think we're supposed to talk about it.
We cannot talk about it enough. So let's remind everybody before we bring Glenn and some special guests up that, the breakout sessions go all day, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And again, if you just go to expshareholdersummit.com, you can see a detailed list of all of them. And then you just go into the world under the go-to menu, look for Shareholder Summit, and you can find the tracks. But then tomorrow, we have our extraordinary expo that starts at 2 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock Eastern. And we've talked about this before. All the booths from One EXP to the Agent Advisory Council, to our preferred partners, to agent development, so many. Our brokers, everybody's going to be there. And at the back of the expo hall, we will have our referral roundup, where you can either stand in the area where you're from or go to an area where maybe you want to get a referral from. So we think the referral roundup will be a super fun way for you to engage, just like if we were having our live event. You can go to a booth, or you can talk to a friend, or meet a new friend. We're excited about all of that will happen tomorrow. And Stacy, just also as a reminder, we still have Slido open, because I have a feeling when Glenn Sanford hits the stage in a second or two, that might generate some more questions. So please go to Slido still if you'd like to ask a question or leave a comment.
Absolutely.
And right now, Stacy, we get to welcome back to the stage Glenn Sanford, who's going to introduce some special guests before his presentation, which I've been waiting for all day. So Glenn, we'll turn it back over to you.
Welcome back.
Hey, Mitch. Hey, Stacy. Hey, everyone. It's my intro music. I love it. So thanks again, everyone that's come up in advance here. Wrapping up here today, and it's an afternoon finally on the West Coast. Certainly, other places in the world is still morning. I think probably Australia is probably really early morning, but it's been a great day so far. I want to invite up, though, relative to EXP. I want to invite up a few people. I want to invite up Jason Gessing, Fee Gentry, and Juan Alvarez to talk a little bit about an initiative that self-formed about a little over maybe getting close to a year ago, and it's been going phenomenally well. And that's One EXP, and So Jason, I know you're on the realty side working much closer with all the different groups, but there's the one group that continues to be amazing to watch. Is even from a distance has been the One EXP initiative. So Jason, Fee, and Juan.
Yeah, thanks, Glenn, very much. There's so many different ways you can measure an organization and whether or not you want to be affiliated with it. And I think for me, putting it mildly, I think there's a need for more conversation around diversity and inclusion right now. And so I've been looking forward to this conversation. I also want to recognize Scott Segurian, our Senior VP of Agent Experience, has been very much involved in the 1A EXP initiative as well. And even before he joined us, was very passionate about it. But first, to the extent that we've not made the announcement already, Fee Gentry and Juan Alvarez, you guys are co-chairs of 1 EXP. And maybe if you would, there's a lot of accomplishments, a long list of things that the group has already done already. And I know that there are a number of champions within the group who aren't up here with us. But before we go anywhere else, let's just go to the next slide for 1 second, because Fee, you've been talking about the panel that Michael's going to facilitate on Wednesday, and you've been referring to the guests as the Big Five. And for me, my mind goes to the '86 Celtics. But I mean, if I look at this and I think about the power of Verbella and how it can bring people together from different parts of the world, different cultures, different backgrounds, to see this list and the people who are going to be in this panel is just amazing. So talk about that a little bit, Fee, and sort of, how we got here.
Yeah. Thank you, Jason, for the introduction, and thank you all so much for having us up here. Like I always say, I am standing on the shoulders of our team that we have. So, but you're right. The Big Five panel, it would not have been possible to bring these 5 executive national leaders of our diversity inclusion groups under one roof if they had to fly into Disney. And so exactly 13 days ago, we sent out an invitation to them, and they're here. They will be in our world tomorrow, hosting the event called with Michael. I'm telling you how perfect it was. Michael Valdez moderating, who knows all of these diversity and inclusion champions, the panel Rising Up for Your Community. So it's phenomenal. We cannot wait. This is historic. It's never happened. It's never happened in the industry.
I've gotten a few messages, including one from Scott earlier today, that this whole event is history in the making. So I congratulations. And Juan, I know in addition to 1 EXP, you on your own initiative about 18 months ago launched EXP Latino. But maybe in combination, you guys could just speak a little bit about how it came to be that you became involved in the 1 EXP initiative.
Sure. So EXP Latino started as some of the other groups, they're grassroots groups that started. And with the vision of Glenn and talking to Fee and Gentry, they wanted to embrace all this group under one umbrella. And I saw that initiative to be the correct initiative to drive the diversity and inclusion that we have right now. It's been a journey for the past year, how all this group come together, and the discovery of the talent among this group of people it's been quite fulfilling. We are on the early stage of the program, but we are with great plans, launching a number of other initiatives to continue this growth. I think diversity and inclusion is super important for EXP Realty as we move into the global arena. So I think we're on the right track. I think we feel very strong about what we're doing, and we're embracing this project as you have no idea.
Well, Fee, so let's talk a little bit. It's been a short period of time, but a lot has been done. You want to talk a little bit about accomplishments and what you're working on now that's got you excited?
Sure. Oh gosh, I could sit here forever, so I'm not going to go over the big list. Y'all know how excited I get about this. Just to give you just an example of just a few things that have happened since we launched officially October of 2019. And Jason, I want to give you kudos for this, because you were one of the people who pushed me in a corner at a Christmas party in 2018 to start the Black EXP Network, and then Glenn started as well with a chat late at night, and he and I kind of went back and forth, and we developed this 1 EXP platform together. So that's how it started. But things we're working on right now are, we're growing the group. We've grown up 64% of 1EXP. We've done that. We launched this is really exciting. We're launching the Exp Seniors Network. So all of you agents are 55 or better. We're estimating that, which makes up about 35% of EXP. Donald Maycott and Debbie Gentry have taken over that initiative and launched that. So we're really pushing that group of senior citizens. We're doing the census. So this is the big thing that's coming out. The EXP 2020 census is going to be launching. The campaign is called Everyone Counts. We think it's important to know who we're made of. How many women do we have? How many Latinos do we have? How many people with physical disabilities do we have that are agents? Anything else, Juan? I mean, we've got so many. I mean, you want me to keep going? We're doing our website. We've done a joint venture with the preferred partners to do a landing page so that we can start attracting agents externally.
And I know we've sponsored a number of groups as a company as well, too, over the last little bit.
Correct. We have sponsored, we have a partnership with NAREP, which is the National Association of Hispanic Realtors. And the real estate professionals, and then we've also done a sponsorship with NAGLREP, which Julie Nelson has just killed it for us, which is National Association of Gay and Lesbian Realtors across the country. It's been amazing. So we haven't got to totally capitalize off of it, but we're continuing to stay in close contact with those groups, and we've got 3 more to sponsor as well.
Yeah, it's worth noting that we, among our ranks, in addition to others, David Acosta from NAREP, and of course Tom Trong, one of my favorites from ARIA. I mean, high up in leadership, either right now or immediately past, and so it's been great to see that and great to be involved in those organizations. Juan, if you have a vision for 1EXP, what might it be?
Well, Jason, we feel that diversity is so necessary for a company to remain competitive in the global arena. So we are starting grassroots movement here. We are making sure that our initiative scale at the local level and national level. We want to make sure that we reach our consumer, we reach our community. That's the intention, and expand. I mean, we have to understand that the world is diverse, and it's necessary that we understand the culture. It's necessary that we understand the needs of that consumer, so we can address. So I think that the vision, we keep saying, we want to become the most diverse and inclusive real estate company, but I don't think it will stop there. I think that we will like to become the most diverse and inclusive company globally. And so I think we have all the qualities to reach that goal.
I love it. Fee, anything you want to add there?
I think that, he basically said it all. That is our goal. We know that it starts at home with 1EXP. We are like, as the four amigos say, we were built for this. And so we believe that we were also built for this. Our platform, our business offering levels the playing field for all agents and staff. And so, like I said, we're just totally excited to be a part of this movement, because we're calling this as a movement. And it just makes dollars and cents for our company, as Juan has said. We're not here to always change the hearts and minds of people, but we understand that as shareholders, it does make dollars and cents for us to, as we expand globally and domestically, for us to be in this space. Yeah.
Well, I want to tell you, over the years and certainly today, there's so many things to be proud of with respect to this company, and we use the hashtag EXP Realty Proud. None more so than this initiative and the work you guys are doing. You're enriching the company every day, and couldn't be more grateful or excited about what lies ahead. So thank you both very much.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you all so much for having us. Y'all come on down. All right, let's go.
All right. Thank you again for that. And 1EXP again has been just an amazing initiative, and so super stoked that we were able to get it off the ground last year, and definitely count me as a huge fan, and anything that I can do to help would be awesome. So this next section and is really is going to be a little bit more content around the vision of EXP, and so
I called this "Be Prepared for Anything," and it really comes down to this idea that back in 2009, we were really sort of at the bottom of the housing market. It was the worst housing market. We were debating things like, when do we get our offices back? At the time, an agent actually asked me, when do we get our offices back? And my comment then was, we're not getting our offices back. We don't know how long it's going to be this bad. Not dissimilar to some of the conversations that are probably taking place right now. And I said we needed to build a defensible real estate brokerage that wasn't dependent on bricks and mortar. And as many of you know, the single biggest expense of running a real estate brokerage is in 99% of the cases, unless you're operating like EXP, and we're pretty rare in terms of the way we operate, but the biggest single expense is the physical bricks and mortar expenses that exist for each of these offices, followed by redundant staffing costs. And of course, redundant staffing costs, you think about the various folks that are there. You've got the broker owner, you've got the receptionist, you've got the bookkeeper, you've got potentially the sales manager, you've got the person who comes in and fixes the copiers, and you've got all of this extra sort of overhead that literally is duplicated office by office, street by street, in a lot of countries around the world. I just got back from Australia, obviously spending a little time with Stephen Lee and some of the folks that are down there. I noticed that Nada mentioned that she's watching in Australia at 5:30 in the morning. So great to have you on board here as well. But in Australia, what was interesting is because they don't have the MLS system like we do in the US and Canada, that there was literally and I'm being a little extreme, but not too much. There was almost as many real estate offices as there were coffee shops, and each one of them had, again, generally the same group of people sort of in those offices. And I think that's the same thing in the UK and a lot of places internationally. And so the single biggest cost to running a real estate brokerage is the physical space, but then the redundant staffing costs, and so that for us was, how do we sort of solve for not having the bricks and mortar component? And so we need to come up with a compelling business model for agents and that would be willing to untether from their physical offices. We also felt that it wouldn't be fair to our agents if we, as a leadership team, of course, I was still very much an active agent even in 2009, but if we as an organization didn't also adopt being fully virtual ourselves. And so we really went all in with this whole sort of how do we operate in a remote, and how do we then also solve the challenge of building community and collaboration if we didn't have physical offices. And as we know, during the word cloud exercise a little bit earlier, the number one term that came up organically, what do you like most about EXP? It was collaboration. And it's pretty special when you can take something, when people believe that the best place to collaborate is a physical office, to find out that an organization such as ours actually can collaborate even better than where they were potentially prior to being in the virtual campus, even pre-COVID. So, we fast forward a little bit to today, and now, of course, we have the pandemic. We've got the coronavirus. It's kind of overwhelmed us in some respects, and yet at the same time, if you kind of go through, how has it impacted us? Well, at EXP, we've added over 3,600 agents since the beginning of the year. Now, think about that. 3,600 agents. We're over 29,000 agents. We ended the year at 28,400 or 25,000 and change. We're now over 29,000 agents and brokers. So a huge uptick in our agent count. Our volume obviously has been impacted a bit, but not as much as one would expect, because our agents and brokers weren't forced to try to figure out how to start their business all over again without going to the office that they were so used to working in. So we were less impacted in terms of sales volume. And we expanded even last year to 2 additional countries. We're now operating in multiple countries, and we're in this quote unquote pandemic. We're actually accelerating international expansion. We're not slowing down. We're actually speeding up, where most people are still trying to figure out, what do we do next? Do we prepare to go to the office? Do we prepare to stay home for a while longer? Do we open up some offices? Do we not open up offices? We don't even have to deal with any of the questions that most companies have to deal with. And then you look at Virbela, Virbela, and you heard about from Craig and from Alex and from Gabe and others on the Virbela side of the house. I mean, we've been expanding like crazy because we've got basically a who's who of companies and workforces actually beating a path to our door, trying to figure out how to they build a sense of place, a sense of community, someplace where they can actually sort of work together and actually make things happen. And really this comes down to this whole concept. You've heard it repeated over and over again, and it's really a phrase that was coined organizationally by 4 individuals, Gene Frederick, Rob Flick, Scott Lewis, and Brent Gove. They actually created a group on Facebook about a month and a half ago to actually talk about the fact that we were built for this. And so I wanted to invite one of those 4 people. I wanted to invite Brent Gove up, and I also wanted to bring up a couple 3 guests as well to come up on stage as well. So Brent, I know that we chatted over earlier over the weekend about having a few folks talk about the impact that EXP has made in their lives. But Brent, I think Tina Call, Jay Kinder, and Rosie Rodriguez. So I know we're having slight technical issues with audio today. I know we've already got the patch already sort of in the path because this is the first event we held in this auditorium. So we'll get that solved. But hopefully everybody's audio works and hopefully everybody can hear. But hey, Brent. Hey, Jay. Hey, Tina. Hey, Rosie.
How you doing, Glenn?
Awesome.
We are here, man. We're excited to be here. Thank you for having us up.
Yeah. So Brent, real quick, there's this Facebook group, and it's been blowing up, called "We Are Built for This." So those of you who haven't joined the Facebook page or joined that community, definitely check it out. But what was happening 4, 5, 6 weeks ago when you guys kind of came up with this idea, and then how do the agents that you're bringing up here today represent the types of people that you've been interviewing?
Oh man, great question, Glenn. And a shout out to Scott Lewis. It was really his brainchild. We were all hanging out on a Friday night, the 4 of us talking, and Scott's like, we need to do this. And we just did it. The principle of action. And by the way, if the other speakers, if you're not talking, you can mute your mics. We'll probably get better quality. But it was really Scott Lewis's brainchild about, we were built for a time like this. It's a safe haven, a safe harbor. And the whole model is just, we are prepared to weather this hurricane. It's a hurricane. This pandemic is a Category 5 hurricane for the economy, but we are prepared to weather that storm, I think, better than any company out there, which is why we're growing like crazy.
Awesome. So let's maybe we just go around the horn, and maybe if you don't mind just asking a couple, I'm sure, totally softball questions to the group that you have here. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So we're actually prepared. We've talked, and so I'm going to start with Tina Call from Raleigh, North Carolina. She's amazing. I've asked each one of them to give like 30 seconds to a minute. I want them to brag a little bit about who they are, so you can see what kind of agents are attracted to EXP. And I had about 800 others just like this to choose from. But Tina, welcome, and brag about yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are before you even came to EXP.
Oh, I love it. Thank you, Brent. Thank you, Glenn, for having me up here. So I've been an agent for 20 years. I started in the business at 23, been through all the different market cycles. And I think, for me, I always look at the trajectory of an agent. And so I went from an individual to hiring an assistant. I even moved from a different market in Michigan 10 years ago to Raleigh, North Carolina, and started over. So as I built my business, I got up to 130 transactions. and the wheels fell off. And so I needed a different model to grow and gain leverage. So I started to build a team. As I was building the team, I realized I was building a mini brokerage. I was going to go independent because, obviously wanted to cut costs here and there and everywhere, looking for that secret leverage platform. And thank God my sponsor, a good friend of mine, said, you got to look at EXP. And at first I wasn't open, but once I did see it, I realized that what I was searching for was exactly this, just a platform that could allow me to grow business, allow me to give agents everything they want in a career and in a business without them having to go through the pain that I went through, and to be able to partner with them and grow it has been awesome. So our business went from 68 million at our other company to 105 million in 1 year at EXP.
Wow.
I brought 14 agents on, and we've grown to 175 agents in 5 or 6 states. So I love it, and I'm not going anywhere.
But we're going to get into some of the differences as to what is this so attractive to agents. But before we do that, I want to hear from Rosie and Jay. Rosie, you're next. Tell us a little about who you are. I know you're from Southern California, opposite of Tina here, East Coast, West Coast. But Rosie, brag about yourself. I want to hear a little bit about your background real quick.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so incredibly excited. I'll tell you that I started in the business in 1996. I started in the mortgage side, grew that to personally closing over 300 transactions a year. Then I decided to grow an office. I got bored. I looked around and I saw that there's another company, well-known company, Keller, that came in and they had so many amazing tools and training and support that I jumped on that wagon and grew that to about a 200-person office. And then I jumped off that wagon in 2012. I was looking for maybe a different platform or a different way of doing business. I was lucky enough to find EXP through my sponsor, Rick Jiha, in 2018. And I was so blown away by the caliber of people that had started joining this company. And I tell people I don't find that I'm that incredibly intelligent person. I just think what makes me smart is that I follow smart people. And in that journey, we've grown in a little over 2 years to over 1,100 agents across the country, amazing agents. And the most exciting thing about this is the collaboration all day long. The fact that I get to work with the kind of caliber of individual, the energy, the passion, the enthusiasm, it's different. And I'm so grateful for it.
Love it, Rosie. You and Tina are such a gift to this company. We love you guys. And then I'm moving on to Jay Kinder. Jay, give us a quick background on who you are. Not everybody knows you, most everybody, but let us have it.
What's up, Brent? And thank you, Glenn and Brent, for having me up here. So Jay Kinder, Lawton, Oklahoma, little town of Lawton, Oklahoma, most people don't know about. Been in real estate 23 years now, got in when I was 19. Transferred from mowing yards into selling real estate, tried to figure it out for a number of years, ultimately paid enough money going around the country to every conference, paying every person in the industry you could pay, and learned how to sell real estate. Ultimately, became number 2 in the world for Coldwell Banker for a number of years before I was looking at purchasing my dad's Coldwell Banker franchise. And we started doing the math, and had a mentor that always used to tell me, do the math, let's do the math. And as I did the math, it just didn't make sense. And the margins just weren't there to be paying the kind of money that we were paying out. And so ultimately, I had to let my dad know that his exit strategy was not going to be me, and went independent. And I had an independent brokerage for a number of years. I think my best year, I sold 531 homes, and started a coaching and training company with my good buddy, Michael Reese. And I did that in 2006. We rode through the 07-08 downturn with everything you could have in real estate, and weathered that storm just barely. I always tell people I had to cancel my Netflix. It was $7.99. It was such a rough time. And ultimately built the training company up to about $8 million a year, started a new brokerage in Dallas, Texas as well, and moved all that over here to EXP and got in alignment with growing this great company 2.5 years ago. So it's been amazing.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Love it. So you all are obviously superstars, dynamos, and yet you partnered with EXP, with Glenn. on this beautiful model, and so why EXP is Safe Harbor? Why? I know you mentioned it, you alluded to it, but let's get granular a little bit. Like Tina, you had mentioned you saved $12,000 on your CRM. Not everyone knows what one of those are and some of the benefits, but let's get a little granular real quick, just real fast.
Yeah, so I mean, just the two big costs. We were paying $1,000 a month for our CRM at our last brokerage, so we cut that out immediately. And for the $85 a month, we have KV Core, which is awesome. So there's a $12,000 savings. And like Jay said, I'm a student of my craft. I've been coaching with different coaching companies for 12 years. Paying in excess of $150,000, $160,000 for coaching. And now what I need people like Jay and people like Brent and Rosie. I can literally pick up the phone and say, hey, Jay, how do you do this? How do you do that? I don't need coaches anymore because I've got financial alignment with all these partners that are thinking about my success when they wake up out of bed every morning, right? So where do you have a company where you can just pick up the phone and these people care about your growth because A, they're shareholders in the company. So when somebody comes to EXP, I'm cheering for them. And B, I've got a bazillion coaches now that have been through enough failures that I can learn from. So right there's 25 grand. But there's even more if I break it down, but those are the two right off the jump.
That was amazing. You just threw it out there, just slid right off your tongue. Financial alignment. That is huge because we would all leave Remax, Keller, Coldwell Banker, Century 21, all these big franchises and go meet at these Craig Proctor, Howard, from Star Power and Mike Ferry, and we'd help each other and we'd go back to our respective offices and just go do our thing. And there's no financial alignment. That's a big one. Jay, Rosie, let's go to Rosie next. Rosie, give us one or two granular things of why EXP, why now?
Well, I'll tell you one thing that stands out. When I joined EXP, I had my overhead was literally $85,000 a month. And talking to one of my business partners, David Golden, he says, Rosie, that's crazy. We really have to get around this EXP virtual model. And, I do have other businesses. I still have a little bit of brick and mortar, so I still carry an overhead, but it's nothing like it was. And I thank God that under this pandemic, I, was able to not just jump on board with this real estate company that really emphasizes the EXP the virtual platform, but it's a different way of doing business. It's very forward thinking. During this pandemic, I've been looking at all of my systems and really looking at how to leverage, because there is a time frame that, and Glenn, that I was standing at the grocery store with a cart full of groceries and had to walk away because I could not pay my groceries that day. And that was in 2008, 2009 during that pandemic, during that episode. And it was awful. It was actually kind of comical as well, because I was thinking, I've got 10,000 square feet in my real estate office, but I'm at the grocery store and I'm like freaking out about how this is going to get paid. So I am, if I can say one thing about what is so important and just kind of granular speaking, it's how much peace of mind I have now in my life, because I know that I can run my business from my home. I can work with my team virtually. I can feed my kids. I can eliminate the stress in the relationships in my life. It's just so amazing. It's such a blessing. So
Rosie, that's great. I mean, wow, 10,000 square foot commercial space overhead, and you're at the grocery store and can't buy groceries for your children. That pretty much says it all as to why this is the greatest real estate brokerage on earth. I'm so excited. I'm going to go to Jay next. And thank you, Rosie. That was great. Jay, I've heard you say you had 40 or 50 employees on the payroll, this massive nut every 2 weeks. And I've heard you say how super grateful you are not to have that responsibility or pressure. Can you share a little bit about why EXP, why now? What's so great about this brokerage?
Absolutely, man. I can't tell you how blessed I am to be at this now, and especially at the time that we're going through now, this has just been an amazing blessing to not be in that position with 40 employees. So I remember I called Mike about a couple of months ago, right when things started to hit the, kind of get not normal. And I told him, I said, you know how happy I am we're at EXP right now. And we both took a big laugh and a big sigh of relief of just being here. And so, yeah, I think, Tina and Rosie just said, they said it perfectly. And to me, the way that I have always found success is by, I'm not the smartest kid in class. I just always sit next to them. So I'm always trying to find that person that's, where I'm trying to get to. And that's where I try to go learn. And this platform allows you to learn from the best of the best. Tomorrow we got 75 breakout sessions over the next 2 days. I used to fly around the country and spend literally, like Tina was saying, hundreds of thousands of dollars to go just to be in those rooms, because that's what you had to do that. And now you don't. And I've got, my overhanging on my wall here in my office, I have all my banners or all my, whatever you call the thing you hang over your tags to get in all these events, right? Like for years and years, that's all I've done is go learn and grow. And so this is the best place that you could possibly have a real estate career if you truly want to grow a successful business. The number of top producing agents in this company that are all in financial alignment to give back to the other agents in this company is phenomenal. It's just something I've never seen anything like it, and it's been amazing.
Love it, Jay. Love it. Beautifully said. So as we wrap this up, real quick, each of you, where do you see EXP Brokerage going worldwide? I'm talking numbers. Our goal is to open 40 countries in the next 10 years. Where do you guys see it? I'll go reverse and go with Jay since I've been making him wait. Jay, what 10 years from now, we're going to open, even if we only open 25 or 30 countries, where do you see the agent count for EXP because of the collaboration, the financial alignment, the collaboration? Where do you see our company?
Yeah, at least 1 million agents. I don't understand. If you do the math, you truly do the math, and you look at the opportunity, and you truly are a professional in this industry, how you could not make the decision to join EXP. Wow. It just doesn't make sense. So that's my number. I like 1 million.
I love it. Rosie?
I'll tell you that the thing that comes to mind, Brent, is that I'm standing next to Jay, to Tina, to you, to Glenn Sanford. I'm standing on a stage with the biggest leaders in the industry of the future. I know when I was sharing this that I said, I'm going to be on stage with Glenn Sanford. You guys don't understand. Glenn Sanford is the leader of the biggest real estate company that's ever been created. And I get to be on stage with him, and I get to share my story with all of you, and I get to inspire people to jump on this amazing opportunity. So I think one of the gifts I have is being able to kind of be a forward thinker and see opportunities before they happen. I'll tell you that we're with the largest real estate company worldwide, hands down, and I'm just blessed to be a part of it.
Love it, love it. Tina?
I have to tell a real quick story. My son said, Mom, when you joined EXP, he said, I said, finally, you adults caught up, because I've had global connection through my gaming with kids all around the world. And so think about our kids, right? They're used to this platform, and now we're just catching up. So I think agents are realizing they're the real MVPs of every company, and I think they're all coming. I'd love to see it over 1 million. I think it's going to happen. I think the energy is contagious. My last brokerage gained 4 agents last year, the entire brokerage, 4, and they're a national company. And when I joined, we were 16,000 agents, I think. Now we're almost 30,000. So yeah, I think it's going to be, like Jay said, over 1 million agents. How can they not see it?
I love it. I love it. Well, we got to wrap this up. I just want to say this. I'm doing a little watch party where I am. We're all 6 feet apart, and we're super safe. And there's only 4 of us, so don't worry. I don't have 400 people here with me. But I will say this. I was talking to Gogo right before I got on here, and I'll tell you why this business is going to boom. She was nearly so excited and grateful, and talking about how the rev share pays her house payment and her car payments now. And Chris Okamura in the room, last month's rev share pays all his bills for the summer. And to have that peace of mind, I'm not going to go beyond that, but I can tell you stories that are 100 times more crazy than that. It is so awesome to own this company, a piece of this company, because we're shareholders with Glenn, that rising tide ready, rising all ships, and then to watch people sail off into the sunset. So excited. Jay Kinder has, I think, over 3,000 agents and broker associates, probably in over 40 states, hundreds of cities. Talk about an expansion model. And I just want to say thank you, Ben Sanford. We are behind you. We are with you. We're going to rip the cover off the ball, baby, because in the United States, a lot of people who came here were pioneers, and really every country for that matter. But we are pioneering the world of real estate with technology. We are the trailblazers, and we are following you, Glenn Sanford. We love you. We appreciate you. Thanks for having us on stage.
Hey, it's an honor just having you guys on stage as well. And you know, the fact is that rock stars do get together way easier here. We don't have all the travel, we don't have all of that, and we can do 95% of all the stuff that we can do in real life. And I am looking forward to that extra 5% when we can go and do an event in real life together. But between now and then, we've got EXP World in Verbella. So thanks for being part of it, and thanks for jumping up here today.
Thanks for having us on. We'll jump off stage and let you carry on. Thank you, Glenn. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Thank you. So you know, obviously in many respects, EXP has been lucky, and I talk about this idea of why have we, what was it that made us lucky? And I don't actually think it was luck. I think Randy Miles talked about when he was talking about the board. On the board, you know, history repeats itself, and we don't know exactly how it's going to repeat itself, because if we did, then we'd all sort of take advantage of that, and then it wouldn't repeat itself. And that's sort of one of the ironies, is that history repeats itself. We just don't know in what way history will repeat itself each and every time. But if we think about it, you know, every 3 to 10 years, there is in fact something that happens, something that shocks the economy. It's been going on for a long time. And so we've all heard the phrase, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. And you know, I'm 53 now, which is I'm finally the average age of a realtor, which is kind of interesting. I think it's 53, 54 years old is the average age. But at 53 years old, you know, I've seen a few things. I'm no longer a spring chicken, but I think one of the things is that you start to realize that history does repeat itself. Back in the late 70s, actually 1977, I remember my math teacher brought a Apple II computer to school, and that I fell in love with technology at that point in time. I might touch on that a little bit later, but shortly thereafter, my dad had sold a business up in Canada, and we moved to Oklahoma to get in the oil and gas business. And in 1980, oil cratered. It crashed. It went. You know, people were predicting similar to remember back before the mortgage meltdown, predicting that prices were just continually going to go up. Well, people were predicting that oil was just going to continually go up in price, and unfortunately, my dad had put almost all of his money into oil and gas at the time, and had a really nice exit from his previous company. And 1980 marked a point in time where the economy totally shifted, and we had this savings and loans. We had oil going, basically dropping. Penn Square Bank went down and brought a whole bunch of other banks to their knees. And so that was in the 80s. In the 90s, there was also a small recession, not as big, but then we all remember in 2000, 2001, we had the dot-com collapse, followed by 9/11, and to some extent, none of these things could have been predicted by themselves, even though at the time there were people that predicted one or the other. But timing, nobody really sort of knows the timing of when any one of these things is going to potentially implode. What we do know is that things implode from time to time. So we had oil and gas, we had a recession, we had the dot-com collapse, and then of course in 2007 to 2009 was what has now become known as the Great Recession, and of course now we have the coronavirus 10 years later. So every 10 years approximately, there's something that happens in the economy. And for me, it's similar to the phrase you've heard, which is success leaves clues. History leaves clues. History, if you pay attention, you start to realize that if you simply go all in and spend all of the money that you have on growing whatever business you have, and you're doing it like everybody else, something happens, similar to, again, talking about Randall Miles and restaurants. A lot of restaurants are getting clobbered at the moment. They probably will for a period of time because they were running very thin margins. Real estate brokerages ran very thin margins. And so, what do all these things have in common? Is that there's some sort of systemic shift in the economy that ultimately changes what happens. And of course, at the same time, actually, I've ended up messing up, not getting some of my slides full.
I think Glenn Sanford just disappeared.
I think Glenn has left the building.
He was just so exciting that he just combusted in front of us, I think. But he'll be back in a minute. That was
Is that his actual mic drop moment? Or are we just going to call it that?
I think that's what happens is he gets so excited, he just dissipates into the virtual air.
I love it.
I am back. So all day I've been doing so well, keeping things going, and all of a sudden, I got kicked out finally when it's my big presentation. So Murphy's Law had been holding its breath for me until this part of the presentation. So anyway, I'm back. So I'm not sure exactly where things got lost, but I'm going to go back a bit. And just talk about the fact that we coronavirus, what was going on in oil and gas, what happened in .com collapse, what happened with the housing crisis. These are things that continually happen. Is that there are systemic changes to the marketplace, and it is actually quite normal that these things happen, even though they're unpredictable. So at the same time, we also have really what was the internet. The internet started to kick off, and literally from 2002 to 2007, 2008, 2009, we went from dial-up to cable internet, and then in addition to that, at the same time, we're now at the point where we literally have LTE going on 5G and high-speed internet everywhere. And so the ability to build communities 100% online is no longer a pipe dream or something that's a future state. It's actually with us now. Now, at the same time, we've got a situation going on that certain industries are doing better than others. And so these are just three charts. One that really supports technology and remote organizations. And actually, ironically, the NASDAQ is up for the year. Hard to believe, but NASDAQ's up for the year. And had you been moving money from more traditional businesses to those types of businesses that actually support remote organizations and remote collaboration and remote community, you would have done well in making that move. So you've got remote organizations and companies that support remote organizations doing phenomenally well. So you got the Zooms and the DocuSigns and the Shopifys and the Netflix, and there's a whole bunch of them. Atlassian, which makes Trello, and you could. I've got a list of stocks that I currently have in my portfolio, where I literally it was like shooting fish in a barrel. All I had to do was ask the question: do they support remote organizations? And I went and bought those stocks, and then I also at the same time said, what's going to be killed in the current pandemic, and it's transportation and commercial real estate are two of them. And so if you think about it, we have made a fundamental shift. And so there's a whole reorganization going on around in the economy, which is actually pretty, it's at some level, obviously it's somewhat troubling because we don't fundamentally want things bad to happen to other people. I certainly don't. And no matter the competitive nature of business, and it is sometimes a contact sport, we all want what's best for other human beings, but we also are in a competitive marketplace, and we have to be prepared for whatever happens. And so, we're currently also, unfortunately, in a position where unemployment has went up dramatically. I think we're now at the highest unemployment post the Great Depression. But at the same time, you look at these companies that can operate without the physical infrastructure, and those companies are doing phenomenally well. So we're well positioned in a lot of respects as a company. And then you've got also people like Warren Buffett literally asking the question if people will return to offices. I saw another headline, I think over the weekend, and I didn't get into the slide deck, but it literally said that white collar workers, meaning those who are information economy oriented individuals, are effectively wanting to go to the office less because they're enjoying working from home. Now, working from home, on the other hand, has certain aspects that aren't so enjoyable. And so some of you may have heard of the thing called Zoom fatigue. Right? And Zoom fatigue is, unfortunately, when you're trying to actually be alert and pay attention to people using your webcam, it's actually painful. It's actually one of the most painful exercises you could go through. And I'm sure almost everybody in this auditorium watching on the live stream has had to pay an inordinate amount of attention to a webcam while trying to also pay attention to the person that's talking. And it really creates a lot of neurological challenges for you as a human being. That's why our avatar-based environment has been something that has enabled the growth of EXP in a way that no other technology could have allowed for us to expand as a real estate brokerage. So, so this idea that, that a virtual world, and then at the same time, you've got, conferences after conference being canceled for the whole year. So Apple, I think, has now canceled everything for the rest of the year. Salesforce, you've got major employers basically saying to their employed workforce, saying there's no requirement for you to come back to the physical office until at least the end of the year. And so the future of teams, corporate offices, education, events in a post-COVID world is totally changed. I mean, it's crazy because for us, we've been living and breathing this every day for the last 10 and a half years. Ever since October 6th, 2009, we've been operating at 100% virtual organization. And now the world is now trying to figure out, what do we use? What do we cobble together? How do we work more collaboratively? And yet even the standard set of technologies don't work very well. One of the other things we've been hearing, and of course, when we think about the future, we think about the virtual world, but we've had professors from major universities that have moved entire lectures with their students into Verbella. One professor from the University of Texas in Austin came in and literally said there's no way he could actually pull off what he was pulling off with his students that would be so engaging over any other technology. And they had already tried to do Zoom and a bunch of other platforms, and they were able to really engage in the campus environment. And to some extent, one of the really cool things about our environment, and of course we're still working the bugs out, and some of you are certainly aware of that even today, but we've worked out so many of the bugs that nobody else has even been able to get close to solving in terms of the future state of work and the future state of the economy. So, if the other part that I think is really important as well is to really think about what's the future for companies that do decide to go back physical bricks and mortar, maybe it's maybe a company, and again, not saying that these companies would or wouldn't do business with us, or that they are or not doing business with us. We're under NDA with actually a whole bunch of folks, which is pretty cool. And I wish I could sort of mention some names of some folks that are pretty high profile. But companies are needing to put together their own emergency remote work plan, and what better platform than something like what we're in today to be able to do that is to have the ability to be fully engaged the next day everybody goes home from work. It's just so this whole idea of what's the emergency plan, and then also what does remote work look like? And we talked a little bit obviously about Virbela Open Campus, EXP World. We talked a little bit about Frame VR earlier today. We've talked about a lot of the events that are taking place in here. We talked about Laval Virtual. We talked about Event Farm. We've talked about, obviously, we've got our convention hall that is just opening up and will be open up tomorrow. But all of this stuff really speaks to the fact that once you go fully remote, and I think that being fully remote or moving an organization to being fully remote actually is the disruptor. I think that's what Michael Valdez talked about it earlier. The disruption is the way we operate. And the fact is that 90%, might not be 100%, but 90% of our competitors will effectively go back to work in a physical office as soon as they're able to do it. And I read a statement the other day by another company that literally made the full-on statement that virtual companies, fully remote companies, will in fact fully disrupt physical bricks and mortar companies over the next decade. So companies that go back to bricks and mortar will effectively lose their lunch, lose their market share, effectively go out of business over the next decade in comparison to their non bricks and mortar based counterparts. So those companies that embrace remote organization. Now, some are going to get it wrong, but some are going to get it right. I believe that we've got it right, and we're agile enough to continue to get it right. And then I noticed another thing, and this was from a gentleman named David Rowa, who has been involved with about 50 or 60 tech companies, primarily in Canada, but he's now runs a little investment banking firm. So he's got some YouTube, some videos that he's done where he's talked to some investor conferences where he talks about the financial benefits of operating 100% remote, and the benefits way outweigh the expenses related to staying bricks and mortar based. And so returns up to shareholders, he estimates a minimum of 150% better return to founders and shareholders for companies that run 100% remote versus those that are physical bricks and mortar based. And those numbers can get extremely out of whack depending on what way you're operating. And there's a lot of other companies out there that run fully remote. GitHub, WordPress, a lot of them are technology companies. In fact, almost every one of them are technology companies. And for us, we've adopted a technology to effectively displace an industry, to take advantage of the economic disparities of working 100% remote versus those that have to support the physical bricks and mortar structure. So we think about sort of the new normal. The new normal is that 54% of adults want to work remote most of the time after the pandemic. They didn't think they wanted to do it before, but now that they've actually figured out how to work around their kids, work around their spouses, significant others, and others, they're going, well, why wouldn't I avoid that commute? The average commute time to an office is 25 to 30 minutes. We're talking about over a lifetime, 7 years that people will spend on the road commuting back and forth to an office over their work lifetime. Whereas, and it literally adds up to almost, I think it's a month a year that most people spend every year just commuting back and forth to the office. So this is, so it's a big deal. So, 74% of employees, CFOs want employees to work permanently remote work. So we've got so many advantages. And of course, when we think about EXP, we're growing EXP. We're adding staff. We're introducing new products and services. We're making key acquisitions, and we're doing it in real time. Even today during the pandemic, we've had to make certain cuts here and there just to make sure that we could weather the storm, depending on whether we're in a V shape, a U shape, or some sort of downturn in the economy. We needed to right size the company to make sure that we could get through that. We think we've done that. We know that there's some folks that have made their way back to EXP in some capacity already, which is awesome. We're growing Virbela. We've expanded the sales and engineering teams. We're developing and launching new products as quickly as we can now. We're also looking at strategic acquisitions. So, really the future of work is now. The future of work, we pioneered it as an organization. We did it out of necessity. And a lot of companies right now are doing it out of necessity, but are they going to actually stick with it after it's no longer necessary? And if you really look at the amount of collaboration and community that you can build in an online way, not to say that there aren't reasons to have physical offices or physical spaces, but I think that every single headquarters of any major organization that has any sort of geographic distribution needs to put their central organization on the cloud. It'll make them more accessible. Their customers will be able to engage with them much more effectively. Their folks on the front line, whether it be in any business, will be able to be more in touch with the glue of the organization. And as opposed to being an ivory tower, they can actually be one of the team on the front lines, working shoulder to shoulder with teammates in a way that no normal company tends to work. And so for us, the reality is that we were prepared for at least this thing. And I believe that we as an organization are prepared for anything. I think that's the key message here, is that we are in fact prepared. We were ready. We've been ready since 2009. We operated so lean. We made every cost of our organization a variable cost and not a fixed cost. As a result, we were able to manage through a number of years through and literally have positive cash flow almost since the beginning, while sharing equity with our agents and brokers and those who have helped us grow the organization over time. And have contributed in such a meaningful way. So we were prepared for anything, and we invite you again to tour the Virbela Open Campus. If you're watching on the live stream, even if you're in world, EXP world, definitely take advantage of the Virbela Open Campus. One of the things that we've got on the Virbela Open Campus, we touched on a little bit earlier, is the private team suites, and this is a little bit of a I'll just talk about this because I think if you're watching the live stream, if you're not with EXP and you don't have and you haven't come into Virbela and checked out what the private team suites could mean to you, they could literally, they have the potential to save your business and save your enterprise. And because we don't know how long this pandemic's going to take place, but you're going to need a place to go to work. And Zoom only counts to a certain level. It can work in a pinch, but it isn't a place to work over the long haul. So, come check out the Open Campus, check out our team suites, and even if you're with Realty or otherwise, think about the Virbela Open Campus as being an extension of where you work, because I think there's opportunities to be able to collaborate with like-minded people, to network with other people in our Virbela Open Campus. We've already seen business relationships start on the Virbela Open Campus between many different enterprises because they had serendipitous, meaningful collisions with people that they have an opportunity to now be in business with. And so the Open Campus really represents a cool opportunity to collaborate and to connect, and obviously EXP World as well. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off from my end. Find me on Workplace. Find me on LinkedIn, find me on the Virbela Open Campus. That's where I spend most of my time nowadays. Drop into the Virbela main office during the week. If I'm available, I'll come out and say hi. We can have a serendipitous, meaningful collision on the campus. I can introduce you to some folks over at on the Virbela side of the house. We're super excited, super stoked to be in business with each and every one of you, and also really proud to have each one of you as shareholders that have made EXP part of your holdings, and we hope to make you proud. So with that, thank you very much, and super stoked to be for everybody being here today.
Thank you, Glenn.
So much, Glenn.
It was an amazing presentation. I think something that will live with us for a while, and something I think we're going to remember in the months and even years ahead. And Stacy, let's make sure everybody, first of all, is aware of what's going to happen the next few days. So tomorrow we have starts 3 days of breakout sessions.
Absolutely. And I know, Dave and Curtis and that whole team and your team and everybody have just been getting together and making sure. Check it out. The content is going to be amazing. The expshareholder.com website has all the information you need for that.
Yep. And then tomorrow, after the breakout sessions, we've talked so much about it, but our EXP Extraordinary Expo, I mean, I can't tell you folks, if you haven't been in the convention center yet, you can almost smell the new carpet in there. It's almost played tricks with my mind when I walk by the booths and see them set up. And it's the expo I always wanted in doing 20 years of live events. We had to move into the virtual world to do it, and I could not be more excited about it. And then Stacy, also during the expo, we have the Referral Roundup.
Absolutely. And I'm very excited about that, guys. Do take the time. That's one of the best things about this company and the events that we get to have is you get to meet people from all over the entire world now. This is just an incredible opportunity. Take advantage of it. See the friends you already know, make new friends, have a really good time with it. And then Friday.
And guys, Friday we have our keynote guest speaker, John Gordon. So again, look on the expshareholdersummit.com. Of course, that's open to all to attend as well. So we can't wait for that. And Stacy, I just want to take a second, and I can't even begin to list the number of people that helped put today together. It all started with putting together an event in Orlando, Florida that ended up not happening. And I just want to thank our growth team, our tech team, the Virbela team, our marketing team, to put on something like this, whether it's in the virtual world or the real world. It takes almost every employee at EXP. It takes the feedback of thousands of agents to put it together. And I just want to, on behalf of the entire company, thank everybody that has worked to make today groundbreaking.
Absolutely. The way everybody pivoted, shifted, got this already, literally just handed me a slide deck to walk up with. You guys all did amazing and phenomenal. And I appreciate you allowing me to host with you today. It was a wonderful experience. And I look forward to mingling with everyone this week.
It was great. I look forward to seeing everybody in the breakout sessions at the expo. We'll be looking for your feedback on Workplace. We'll have a lot more information there for those of you with EXP. For the rest of you, go to the website. This has been Stacy. We've been going through 8 to 10 weeks where we've seen and heard stories of loss, stories of hope. And it's been such a blessing for all of us that for our professional lives, we have each other and we have the ability to engage with each other in this world. And for everything else that we do, this is a day that I know for myself I will never forget. And I'm so appreciative for all of you in the audience that took time to be with us all day. And we can't wait to see you the rest of the week.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. Have an incredible evening. Sell lots of real estate. Be productive. Be awesome. And we'll see you guys soon.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you starting tomorrow.